Happy New Year. I hope you're not getting sick of all of the everything I made in 2025 videos because I'm a little late to the game for this year because today is January 6th. My kids went back to school today, which means my house is empty and I can record without having to tell anyone to be quiet. I mean, yeah, I could have done it between New Year's and today, but I just couldn't be bothered. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start off with the things that are carryovers from what? Looks like they're all carryovers from 2024 that I finished in 2025. Then we'll get into the everything I started and finished in 2025. And that order is going to be when I started them, not when I finished them, because I can't be bothered. So, without further ado, here is the 2025 Knitting Wrapped. First, we are starting off with Galene. Other way. This is Galene. Galene is a shawl. Galene is very pretty. She was made with silk. You want to see it? Yeah, so pattern and yarn comes from Expression Fiber Arts. I started this in March of 2024. Finally finished it in June of 2025 because one, it's a fingering weight silk yarn and takes forever. Two, I made other things. So here's my lovely shawl. And this is made with the original yarn that the pattern was made in before they reworked it for a different fingering weight. This was the Allure Silk Fingering in the color Sterling Silver. And it's lovely. Have I worn it yet? No. Have I blocked it? Also no. Will I plan on wearing it? Maybe? I don't know. But the yarn was so fun to work with and it's a beautiful pattern. Oh, and as always, if I can link it, it'll be linked down below. If I can't do pattern and yarn, then it might just be pattern. We shall see. I don't know yet. That's for editing Jess to figure out. So, Galene. Next up is Cozy Cocoa Hood from Veronica Lindbergh. Let me take this off. Cozy Cocoa Hood from Kika. Which way's up? That way's up. This was for my mom. That's inside out. And I think she forgot she asked me to make it for her in 3 different colors. I did one. Okay, I take that back. I made 2 hoods for her. I first made the grandma core hood and I did it with mohair as it called for and she didn't like it because it was itchy. Then I made her Cozy Cocoa in, I think I used the same yarn, Knit Picks Gloss with no mohair. And I did not add the long ties or the bow because she was not interested in that. And I made that. The first one was in a lavender color, and then she wanted some more and forgot that she asked me to make them. So here's the red one. I have the yarn for, one sec. Here's the yarn for the other 2. So it's still Knit Picks Gloss in Everglade and Clarity. Then with the red hood, Christmas colors. So I finished this. Still need to weave in the ends and mail it off to her. I should get around to doing that. So here's what happened with Cocoa Hood. I started it in April of 2024. And then I got busy doing other things, and I finally finished it in May of 2025. Yeah. But it's a good It's a good pattern. Love the pattern. Love this honeycomb. Do you want to see it? It's so squishy. I love it. I want one for myself, but then that means that I would make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. You can see. And then it's supposed to have the snaps here because that's what my mom wants. She doesn't want the bow. And so it's giving fairy tale woodland vibes. And I love it. So here's this. Then I finished the emotional support chicken for my son. This was done in bike team colors for our mountain bike team. And I started this in June of 2024, finally finished it in May of 2025. I fully intended to have it done for the 2024 bike season. Didn't happen. Here's the chicken. Yeah, so our race kits, our uniforms are black, white, and hot pink. Therefore, it's a black, white, and hot pink chicken. I have feelings about this chicken. I don't like it. I don't want to make another chicken. There's just something about this that pissed me off. I don't know what it was, and so therefore I didn't want to finish it. But I told him I would make him a chicken, and so he has a chicken stuffy in bike team colors. So there it is. I used big box store acrylic for this, combination of Hobby Lobby and what was the yellow? I think the yellow might have been Red Heart. The white came from Plymouth Yarns. Yeah, so that's our chicken. It sits in his room. Bike team chicken. And then I finally finished the Harry Potter Quidditch socks. I did finish some pairs in 2024, but I'm not counting them as finished until I finished the last pair of socks. So I started this project in August of 2024, finished the last final sock of all 4 houses in May of 2025. I did use the suggested yarn, which was Cascade Heritage, and they suggested colors. So here we've got, now I don't have sock blockers, so these are going to look a little squinched up because I don't do sock blockers. So here's Gryffindor. Hide my face. Ravenclaw. Hufflepuff. And Slytherin. Now this one isn't stretched out because I wore this one recently and it's in the to be washed pile. So this is what they actually look like when they're not scrunched up, is this. When did I finish the last sock? So I finished Ravenclaw sock 1 and 2 in 2024. Gryffindor sock, no, not sock 2. I finished sock 1 of everybody in 2024. So that's how I did it. I did 1 sock of each house, and then I did the second sock of each house. So sock 1 of everybody was finished in 2024. And then I started sock 2 in 2025. And then that took me until May to finish because it's stranded color work. Here's the inside. Because you're making a little checkerboard. And I did these on 9-inch circulars just to make it easier so I wouldn't have any weird gaps with the color work on Magic Loop. I love them. I wear them all the time. And I love them. I made a lot of socks this year. All the stats will be at the end because it's more fun that way. Next up on the finished is The Hobbit toy. I started this in September of 2024, finished it in May of 2025, and this was using scrap yarn. It took forever to finish because I couldn't find the right size buttons for things. So here's the Hobbit. Okay, he's got hairy feet. He's got a little pot belly. It's adorable. So he was made with the Cascade 220 Superwash for body and hair. Everything else was leftovers. I asked my kid what color he wanted, and then he went through the worsted weight bin and picked out colors. So we've got, I think the jacket is Caron Simply Soft in the sparkle with the buttons. The waistcoat is the Cascade 220 Superwash, and the breeches it's Lion Brand Basic Stitch. Then he did request a second set of clothes. Haven't made those. Maybe I'll get around to making the second set of clothes this year. So here's the Hobbit. Love him. The last thing that is a carryover from 2024 that I finished in 2025, and there's a doggy. Hello, doggy. Hi. Is these basic vanilla socks. So I started these on Thanksgiving in 2024, so that way I would have something to work on while family chatted. And this is using remnants from previous socks. So the main color is, well, the yarn base is from Expression Fiber Arts. It's the Crema sock. That's for the main color and the contrasting color. Main color is Alluring Aquamarine, and the contrast is Pas de Deux. It's from their Nutcracker collection. So here's that. So pretty. I love it. Was it? No. It wasn't left. Only the contrasting was with leftovers. That's what it was. These are also I wore recently and got pulled out of the wash. So that's why they look like that. So I finished 6 carryovers from 2024 in the year of 2025. So now it is time for the big list. Okay, this is the big list of everything I started and finished in this year. Some of these I don't have because they were gifts. If I have a picture of the thing, I'll put a picture up of the thing, but we're good now. Doggy is no longer barking. Here is what I started and finished, and we are going in the order of when I started them. First up is the checkerboard blanket. That is a baby blanket. It was for a friend who finally had a baby boy, and I used this yarn. This is the Lion Brand Ice Cream. This particular color was pistachio. If you can hear the dog licking her foot, I'm sorry. So I made the blanket that's actually on the label. Sorry if the glare is weird. You're in front of a window. And this took me a month to make this baby blanket. I started January 22nd, finished February 23rd, and it's checkerboard. So you alternate. So you're making squares of knits and purls, and then every 10 rows or so, you switch. So instead of going knit block, purl block, knit block, purl block, you're putting your purl block on top of your knit blocks, and then it goes purl, knit, purl. Okay, you got it. Took forever. Felt like I was never making progress, especially when you get to the middle. You're like, when is this going to end? But I made it out of this, and it was so stinking cute. I have a whole ball, so that one, and half of another one left over. So I plan on making something with those. We'll see what happens. Then I finished up sweater number 18, or started. Oh, hush. I was moving things for the dog and then the camera took a tumble, so I think you're in the right spot where you were. Well, you're fine. You just fell over onto the squishy things. Anyway, sweater number 18. I started this February 28th and I finally finished it May 2nd because then I was having a mental block breakdown crisis thing. I don't know, where I lost it. I lost the knitting mojo and I didn't want to work on anything. And going to knitting class was draining. And yeah, so I wasn't working on anything for a while. And then I finally picked up sweater number 18 again and finished it. So this is My Favorite Things Knitwear, sweater number 18. And we're going to put it on. Now this is using yarn that it was frogged from another project. Anyway, I had started a cable knit sweater dress in this yarn. This is the Peyton's Classic Wool Worsted in the color dark gray mix. Decided I still liked the cable knit dress. I just didn't like it in this gray color. So I frogged it, set it aside, and then I paired the Peyton's with Knit Picks Aloft. It's their lace weight Surrey thingy in the color Plover. So what is this? This is Super Kid Mohair and Silk, as it's 72-28 mix. So here's the Plover. This beautiful gray, and it turned out it gave it this marled effect. Let me adjust you. Okay, I think we're back to where we were. Yeah. It's a great sweater. I loved it. I love the texture of it. It's really hard to see in this dark gray, but I don't care. I love it. It's warm. It's nice and boxy. The sleeves are a little long, but I'm happy with that. And I just wore this yesterday because it was a little windy and slightly rainy and a touch on the cold side because of said wind and rain. We have yet to have snow, but it was great. And then I did a pair of socks. I started these socks April 30th, finished them June 2nd, and this was using the leftover Cascade Heritage from the Harry Potter Quidditch socks. So this is just the basic ribbed sock from Kate Atherley, and it's using Cascade Heritage. It's stretchy. Turns out great. Fits great. I use 9-inch circulars for these and a 2.75 millimeter, so US 2. And I did 56 stitches, which according to that pattern is an extra small. I'm a size 7 for shoes. Sorry, my notebook just fell down. I will say that I don't hand wash my socks. Yes, even the yarn that is hand-dyed yarn, I don't hand wash my socks. They go in the washing machine with the rest of the laundry, and then I'll hang dry them. But if I feel like they need to shrink up a little bit more to be a little more form-fitting to the foot, and then I'll put them in the dryer. That's what I do with these because they tend to get a little more baggy faster than other socks. Now, I don't know if it's because I used the Cascade Heritage and not something else, but I still wear them and it's totally fine. And then I started another pair of socks. This is I made this up. It's just striped socks using the leftovers from the Quidditch socks. And I still have tons of leftovers because there's a ton of yardage in Cascade Heritage. If you weren't aware, there's a ton. So I've made 4, 5, 6 pairs of socks, and I still have a lot. So here's these. Okay, so I did 5 row stripes for these. Okay, I started June 5th, and I finished the second sock on June 12th. So this is a pretty fast project. The brown is Barocco Vintage sock in the color 12053. And then the rest is the leftovers of Cascade Heritage. And so I did Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, Slytherin. And I did 2 full repeats of those colors before I did the heel. And then I did my sock. It almost ended up being 2 full repeats on the sock as well. Almost. I needed another 5 rows, but you know, I don't care because no one's ever going to see the foot anyway. I wear these all the time. I love them so much. Then I made another pair of basic ribbed socks from Kate Atherley. This is using Expression Fiber Art Sincere sock in the color Release. I did the extra small again. This time I used a US 1 instead of US 2. And I did a ribbed cuff before I did the rest of it. And I don't know if that made any difference in the sock sliding down or not. So here's the sock. I originally had this yarn going for Hermione's Everyday Socks, which, you know, free pattern on Ravelry, but I wasn't liking that sock in this colorway. So I did 2x2 cuff for 20 rounds, and then I did the ribbed pattern of the sock, and again, they're comfy. I wear my socks all the time. Basic rib socks from Kate Atherley. Did I tell you when I started these? I did not. Started June 8th, finished June 27th. As you can see, I was then back into my knitting rhythm, and whatever funk I was in was finally over. Next, we have a gift. I don't even think I have a picture. This was a cowl. It took me a day. June, I think less than 24 hours total. But, you know, I had to sleep. So started June 16th, finished June 17th. I used Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick in the color City Lights. I used up that entire skein. It was not quite long enough, so then I grabbed some leftovers of the Lion Brand Hue and Me in the color Ozone. They are technically 2 different weights, but I used them as the same, and it was totally fine. And I used US 15 needles. And that was a gift. Next is, what do you know, some more socks. These are Linares Barefoot in the color California Dreamin'. For all my vanilla socks, I'm doing Crazy Sock Lady, and I always do size 1 for myself because, again, I wear a size 7 shoe. This one I finished started June 24th, finished July 21st. Now, most of my socks are I'm out of the house knitting, so they live in my purse. I did 2x2 rib for 20 rounds and 60 rounds for the leg. Woo. This yarn is so warm. Oh, I love it. Here's the cuff. Now I do have leftovers of this color and leftovers of the first time I used this yarn, and I'm thinking of maybe combining them for another sock. I don't know yet. We'll see what happens because I don't know yet. I still have full skeins of stock yarn I have yet to use, and I want to use those up before I start getting scrappy. Then we have another pair of socks. We are now getting into the Christmas in July portion of the knitting. I did a whole vlog on this, so it's linked somewhere. These are Christmas Eve Skies. This comes from the Charming Colorwork Socks book by Charlotte Stone. I started these July 2nd, finished July 26th. I used Knit Picks Stroll for the main and the contrast color in navy and white. I made these size 1. And I did a US 1 for the cuff and a US 2 for the charts because this is a colorwork sock. This might be one of those times where a sock blocker would be great, but I can't be bothered. I think these turned out fantastic. Let me show you the inside. I know you'd want to see the inside. Here's the inside. I had so much fun making these. And again, I've worn them when it started to get cold-ish. I think I started wearing them in December because then I felt like it was seasonally appropriate to wear the Christmas things. So we have these. The next Christmas in July was my porcelain sweater. I started the porcelain sweater on July 14th and I finished it on August 12th. I did use the suggested yarn, which was Sandnes Garn, Tin Pure Gint, and the Tin Silk Mohair in the colors Oatmeal and Jolly Blue for the main, and then the mohair was Almond and Jolly Blue. And I made the size medium. Doing the little fashion show is always a little awkward. I have worn this multiple times since it started getting chilly, and I love it so much. My favorite was when people say, "Hey, I love your sweater." I'm like, "Oh, thanks. I enjoyed making it." And then their face goes, "You made that?" Yes. Yes, I did. I enjoyed it so much, and it's so fluffy and warm. I love this pattern. I do have plans on making a rosy sweater. My problem is that I cannot decide on a color combination. Do I want it to be, you're too high. Do I want it to be similar to this where it's a light background and the color work is the dark color? Or do I flip it and have a dark color and a light color work? I haven't made up my mind, which is why I haven't made the rosy sweater yet. So porcelain sweater, I do like working with the Sandnes Garn. I might need to, well, no. I never wear my sweaters directly next to skin anyway. Hi, honey. I don't. So I'm always wearing a t-shirt underneath it, as you can see. So the itchiness doesn't, if it is itchy, I don't feel it because that's never directly next to my skin. And then I started a pair of basic vanilla socks again because I needed something for out of the house knitting because all of my Christmas in July stuff was stranded color work and I had to, you know, do it at home or at bike practice. I did a lot of it at bike practice where, because my son didn't have his license yet, so I had to go with him to bike practice, and then I would sit in a dirt parking lot and I would knit. It's all in the vlog. It's all in the vlog. Then I made more Christmas socks, and these are hiding from me. This is using Knit Picks Felici in the color Buddy, and then Heels and Toes were Knit Picks Stroll in the color Grass. Again, this is Crazy Sock Lady for numbers and stuff. It turned out great. I pulled this again from the wash, so if it looks dirty, I'm sorry. I actually wear my things. I started July 21st, finished it August 24th, used a size 1, did a 2x2 rib for 20 rounds, probably. I didn't actually write it down. And 60 rounds for the leg, Didn't actually write it down, but that's usually what I do unless I want it longer. And yeah, I think the self-striping yarn is very, very cute. This is my first time using a self-striping yarn, and I got addicted. I got addicted to the self-striping yarn in a good way. In a good way. And then we have the last of the Christmas in July. And this is also from the Charming Colorwork Socks by Charlotte Stone of Stone Knits. This is the Holly and the Ivy. I use Knit Pick Stroll for all the things, and the colors Horchata, Hollyberry, and Everglade. Hush. Something. Hush. Sorry, that's my phone. I did not do the berries on the foot because I felt like that would feel a little weird with shoes having bubbles on your feet. But the rest of it, totally fine. I started July 26th, finished August 2nd. I made the size 2. Now, yes, I finished August 2nd. Did not actually finish weaving in the ends until after Christmas. Yeah, because again, I couldn't be bothered. I was just like, yay, I finished my Christmas in July projects. Woohoo! Didn't bother doing ends. But I've worn them and I love them and they are adorable. And then we have my birthday knit. My birthday knit, I used yarn that I have had for a while. It was when I was buying yarn just because it was on sale and it was on a closeout. This comes from Webs. It was the Rowan Superfine Merino 4-ply in the color Mint. I have some more of this same yarn in a baby blue color. And I plan on doing a sister knit to my birthday knit. You want to see it? Well, my birthday knit. I haven't done the sister knit yet. Here's my birthday knit. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that. But my birthday knit for 2025 was the Skyline Tee by Tori Yu. I made the size 3. I added extra length to the body and I knit the ribbing until I ran out and I left enough to have an Italian bind off. I started August 4th and I finished it August 23rd. I love this so much because it is a merino. It's not, sorry, I was making sure that the dog wasn't going to trip over you. Because of the composition of the yarn, it isn't quite a summer knit. So I've used it more as a fall, winter. I'm going to use it as a fall, winter, spring thing. I just wore it this past Sunday and it's so good. I love it so much. It is ever so slightly see-through, so I am wearing a nude tank underneath it, but it's so good. So good. The sister knit I want to do with the light blue is the Avenue Tee. I will get around to that this year. That's going to be in my 2026 project planning video. That'll be soon. But I love this. I love the arm length. I loved the construction of it. I had never done a saddle shoulder construction before, so this was a good project to learn that on. And everything, it was well written. I highly recommend the Skyline Tee. And then we made more socks because there's never enough socks. And this was for my middle child for his birthday because I had made the Buddy socks, the Christmas self-striping, and he wanted some too. And so I showed him the ones that I had left that I hadn't used yet and told him to pick a color. Hush it. And he did. I would show you the socks right now, but I cannot find them. Hush. I don't know where they are, but here's the leftover of the yarn. So it's Knit Picks Felici in the color Bonfire. I started August 24th, finished September 8th in time for his birthday. I did 20 rounds of 2x2 for the cuff. He wanted a slightly longer leg, so I did 70 rounds for the leg. And I used, for heels and toes, Knit Pick Stroll in the color Cider. If I find them, here's a picture. If not, here's this. And he loves them. He loves them so much. He wears them a lot. And he loved them so much that it kind of inspired my oldest to want socks. We'll get to that. The next thing I made was using more leftover yarn from that sweater dress that I frogged. So I did sweater number 18 in it. And then I made the Hogwarts house cardigan with the remaining leftovers. I think I still have an entire ball left. Maybe a ball and a bit. But I still have a little bit left over. It's crazy how much that sweater dress is going to use. So, Hogwarts house cardigan. This comes from the Harry Potter Knitting Magic book. Started August 24th, finished August 31st. I did Peyton's Classic Wool. Okay. And then I did Gryffindor stripes because I had the yarn for Gryffindor. I didn't have the yarn for the other houses. So I have the Cascade 220 for the red and the yellow. I'll show you. Okay. I made the size medium. And there's also a vlog on this project. Here's wherever it's linked. I timed it. So this sweater is made in pieces and seamed. So you have a back panel, and then you have a right front and a left front. And then you have sleeves, and then you pick up stitches and do your neckband. The back took me 5 hours and 6 minutes. I did the front panels in tandem, so together, and it took me 5 hours and 35 minutes to start and finish those. The sleeves, again in tandem, took me 6 hours and 30 minutes to do. And the neckband took an hour and 10 minutes. So here's my Hogwarts house cardi. And I also wear this all the time. So if there's pilling on it, that's why, because I actually use it. Let's see if you can see this. Oops. I am totally capable of buttoning up cardigans. You know, totally capable. Here's... I love it so much. It's warm. I'm actually, even though I'm wearing it over my Skyline tee, I am a little hot. So we're going to take off the cardi. And yeah, so I love this cardigan. I do want to make the others because obviously I have the socks to represent all 4 houses. I made the stripy socks from the leftovers to represent all 4 houses. So now I just need to make the cardigan to represent all 4 houses. I mean, it's not a need to make, it's a want to make, to finish. I need to have the set. Yeah. To quote Horace Slughorn, I'd like to have had the set. Yeah, although he was talking about people and I'm just talking about cardigans. Moving on. And then I made Gollum. So you know how I made the Hobbit for my youngest? My middle wanted Gollum. So I made Gollum. He's adorable. I used Cascade 220 for the body, for his loincloth, and his hair. Same yarn that I used for the Hobbit, and it's also the same yarn that was used for the Harry Potter dolls. Video link somewhere. And I still have leftovers. This, I think it's done entirely on Magic Glue. I don't think I did double points. I actually don't remember. This comes from the Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings knitting book. Same thing with the Hobbit. I don't think I said that. And he has eyes. I love his little hair. And then my knitting bestie, she's like, hey, I have a stitch marker that would be perfect for the One Ring. So she gave me a stitch marker for the One Ring. And of course I sewed it onto his hand. He loves this so much. He sleeps with it every night. It's adorable. I started September 4th. No, I did not. I started September 2nd, finished October 4th. Yep. I think that was the last Steffi that I made in 2025. I don't know what 2026 is going to bring. We shall see. So back in, when was it? Whenever local yarn store day was. I don't remember what day that was. I went to my local yarn store. I went to Three Loves, and they had a specific color, a special store colorway dyed by someone who worked there and started her own thing. And so obviously I bought a skein. My intention was to make socks out of these. Okay. And then I'm winding it up for said socks, and I realize, no, that would not be a good use of this yarn to show off this colorway. So instead, I made a Musselburgh hat. Here. Oh, yeah. Can you see it? I love this hat. The knitting of the Musselburgh angers me because it's endless stockinette that never ends. Knitting a sweater in endless stockinette, totally fine. But the Musselburgh hat, for some reason, annoys me. And I have some yarn that they would make beautiful socks, but they would also make beautiful Musselburgh. And I said that weird, but I don't know if I want to commit to another Musselburgh hat. Anyway, I started this September 5th, finished it September 15th, just in time to go on knitting retreat. That vlog is linked here somewhere. So this is from Karma's a Stitch. Okay, this is her yarn. This is the Three Loves exclusive colorway. I used US 2, so a 2.75 millimeter for the hat. I made an adult medium, and my stitches per inch was 8 inches. And I think it turned out fantastic. Did I wear it while it was cold at retreat? Yes. Yes, I did. Yeah. If I go on retreat again this year, definitely going to bring my hat again. And then I made more socks. This is more of the, where'd it go? It's down there. The Knit Picks Felici self-striping. Started these September 14th, finished October 25th. And this is the color General Store. Now, unless I tell you otherwise, everything I make is for me. Because I'm still working on getting the people in my house to like hand knit things. We've established that stuffies are great. We're getting there on other things. So General Store, and then Knit Picks Stroll in the color Cider for heels and toes. I made the size small because, you know, this is Crazy Sock Lady. I did 2x2 rib for the cuff for 20 rounds and did 70 rounds for the leg. So it's slightly longer than Buddy, and I love them. I wear them all the time. Probably, what am I going to wear today? I don't know what socks we're gonna wear today. We'll figure that out. And then I made what I consider the ugliest thing I have ever made. You might disagree with me. I think it's ugly. My husband thinks it's ugly. My oldest thinks it's ugly. Middle and the youngest, they have no opinion. They don't care. This is the sweater that I made for Halloween. Here's the ugliest thing I've ever made. You decide. Is it ugly? Is it cute? Is it somewhere in the middle? You tell me. Okay, this is the Let's Boogie sweater. I started October 1st, finished October 17th. I made the size medium. Now, the original pattern, I believe, was supposed to be a DK weight. I used entirety of stash yarn for this, and I did worsted weight. So I used a US 4 on the ribbing, and I used a US 6 for everything else. All stash yarn. The original pattern doesn't have a neckline of any kind. It just, you cast on and start from there. I think that's a little weird. So I added a little bit of 2x2 ribbing on the neckline just for something. So all the colors, I have Red Heart Super Saver in the color Dark Orchid, and then Red Heart for the white. AC Moore is the bright orange, Red Heart for the yellow, the black, and the green. And then the main color, okay, the sleeves and the body. This was Caron 1 pound in the color cream. Yeah, I don't like it. I hate this thing. I made it cropped because I could not be bothered to knit it anymore. I was completely done and I didn't want to work on it anymore. So I cropped it and I don't like it. Even if it was longer, I wouldn't like it. There's too much going on up here for it to be cute. There's way too many motifs. You see that? There's way too many. How many is that? 1, like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that 6 motifs before you even get to the ghosts? And then you repeat this one, and then you have a chevron one. There's too many things happening, and I don't like it. I would not be sad if this sweater got lost. I would not be sad. Other people tell me that they think it's cute. What's wrong with you? This is not cute. So, no shade to the designer, no offense, but I don't like it. I don't like it at all. There were some aspects of the pattern that were definitely not for beginner stranded colorwork knitters. Like the wording was weird. Just because I have experience in sweaters and in stranded colorwork, I knew what was expected. But no, you're supposed to do duplicate stitch for the ghost faces. Couldn't be bothered. So here's a secret. I used permanent marker. Yeah, I drew on my sweater. I mean, why not? So no, no. Then we made some more socks. I swear, I should not record while I'm standing up. This time, these socks were for my oldest child. Because you remember how I said my middle wanting socks inspired the others? These are for my oldest. This was a first time for me using this yarn. This is West Yorkshire Spinners, the 4-ply in the color Spring Green. Then I used Nipix Stroll in the color Grass for heels and toes. And cuffs. Heels, toes, and cuffs. I think they turned out fantastic. Now it turns out my son has a gigantic foot. I used Crazy Sock Lady for vanilla socks. I made the size large for him. This I started, did I tell you? October 25th, hush, finished on November 6th. I did 20 rounds of 2x2 cuff for the ribbing and 60 rounds for the leg. So I did not realize how much yarn was in a ball of West Yorkshire spinners. So I bought 2 and I still have plenty left over in the first ball to make even more socks. So I loved working with it, by the way. It's fantastic yarn. I got it from Woolen Company. Fantastic yarn. If you get a chance to work with West Yorkshire spinners, I highly recommend it. I cannot speak today. And then I made another hat. This was a fun one to do because my knitting group, 2 of my friends, they bought the kit so they could learn how to do color work because it's a hat. It's easy to learn. Three Loves had these kits made up. Hush it. And they bought the kits to learn color work. So they did the ribbing, and then I told them how we're going to do the color work. So then one of them's left-handed, and so it was actually completely backwards, and helping her no longer breaks my brain, but trying to teach her to knit in the first place kind of broke my brain, but we're past that now, so we're good. Anyway, they bought the hat to learn color work. And then another one of our knitting group, she bought the hat too so she could knit along with them. And I decided I didn't want to be left out, so I went ahead and I bought the kit too. And I started it November 6th, finished it December 29th, because it was in my rush of let's get some things finished before the new year, and I finally finished the hat. So I did teach them how to do stranded color work with this hat, and I know one of them finished hers. The other one, no idea. Anyway, this is the Ba-Bull hat. Ba-Bull. Anyway, it's a one-size-fits-all most pattern. I picked this kit that had green and then a tannish brown color, and here's my hat. It's sheep. That's why it's the Ba-Bull hat. Anyway, it's an adorable hat. I love the sheep. So the kit, you have these 2 main colors have the same amount of yarn, so you can decide which one is the starting color and which one is the ending color. And then you have white and black. Is there a couple of rows? We're only ever doing 2 colors per row. Sorry, I had to pull out the chart because I was second guessing myself. Anyway, it's this adorable hat. Donna Smith Designs. Here's supposed to have a pom-pom. I don't care for pom-poms, so I didn't. But here's my adorable sheep hat. Maybe I'll take this to retreat this next year. If we even need a hat for retreat. If I'm even going to retreat. I hope I'm going to retreat. And then we're almost done, guys. And then I started another pair of socks. This is also vanilla. Most of the time it's going to be vanilla because I can take that out of the house with me. Started November 10th, finished December 30th. This is using Knit Picks Felici, the color Ribbon Candy, with heels and toes being Knit Picks Stroll in the color Outlaw. Hold on. They're sitting funky. Again, I pulled these out of the wash. As you can see, there's a hair. I love this color. The reason why I picked Ribbon Candy is because ribbon candy is one of my favorite Christmas candies. So obviously I needed socks with the same name. Size small, I did 1x1 rib for 20 rounds and 70 rounds for the leg. And again, these are for me. These were part of the let's hurry up and finish it before the new year race. And I did. I finished them. And then we have the last thing that I finished in 2025. And these are the socks that I made for my husband. He also finally decided, hey, I want handmade socks too. You pick the color. So I first picked one color, and then it's right here. Turns out this is actually a DK weight sock yarn. So I was halfway through the ribbing and like, this does not feel right because it wasn't, it's a DK weight. And yeah, so the knitting bestie, she's like, hey, I have more sock yarn. You can come take a look. So I picked some of her sock yarn and it turned out fantastic. This is Regia in the color 1342, which is Sprint. And then I used a Three Loves Mini. That's a dark blue for heels and toes. I told you I was on a self-striping addiction here. I love the Regia. Working with it was awesome. I have no idea how it feels because to wear, because these are for my husband, not me. If I wear them, it's like wearing clown shoes. So again, crazy sock lady. He gets the size medium. So my son has slightly bigger feet than he does. So he gets the large, my husband gets the medium. Yeah. 1x1 rib for 25 rounds and 60 rounds for the leg. And then that, sorry, doggy bumped you. And then that pretty mini for heels and toes. And that's everything that I made in 2025. Where's my stats list? Here's our stats, okay? So I had, 6 carryovers from 2024 that I finished. I started and finished 25 things in 2025. I feel like that's appropriate. Very appropriate. I had 3 commissions. And now here's the rest of the stats. My top category for this year was socks. I made 14 pairs of socks. That is nowhere near what Crazy Sock Lady made. Didn't she make like 53, 54 pairs of socks in 2025? I mean, yes, that's basically all she does, but that's a lot of socks. It's a lot of socks. I made 3 stuffies and 3 hats. I made 5 sweaters, tops, cardigans. I lumped them all into one category. I finished a shawl. I made a blanket, and I made 1 cowl. And yeah, it's not as many as in years past. That's totally fine because I had a mental blockage break, something happening last spring, and we're over that now. That's what I did in 2025. I do have things that I am carrying over into 2026. Do you want to know what those are? Here are the things I am carrying over into 2026. Not everything was from 2025. I have several. I have one. Here's my oldest whip. It is Entangle. It is that chevron shawl. You've seen it. I think that's from 2023. I think from before I started this channel. maybe 2022. I don't know. It's been on and off for a couple years. And then I have Advertence. Where's my notebook? So before I first started writing things down, apparently I started that in 2022. My oldest WIP comes from 2022. It's ridiculous. That's going to get finished in 2026. Okay. And then we have Advertence. It was a mystery knit along with Expression Fiber Arts in 2023. I got halfway through and stopped. So that's either going to get finished or just ended right where it is. Still haven't decided that. And then I have, oh, that's a Schlenket. So the first one is a shawl. This one was a Schlenket. One second. Sorry, husband came home. Anyway, where was I? Oh, Schlenket. And now we have another Schlenket that is definitely more blanket than shawl, and that is Tubathaka, also Expression Fiber Arts. This one is a crochet hexagon thing, and then you seam it all together. I have all the hexagons made. I have them all blocked. I have the yarn to make the border. I just need to seam it. Again, 2023. And then we have, I think those are the 3 oldest things. And next we need to finish Midwinter. That's that pretty blanket from Rowan. I started this July in 2024. Yeah, not quite done yet. I still have, I don't know how many more motifs I need to make, but we're getting there. And then I have my giant Oreo blanket that is using worsted weight scraps in black, white, and gray. I'm making that until I'm done with it. I started in April of 2025 while I was watching Once Upon a Time with the Kids. And then it got to be too hot to work on it because I'm holding 8 strands together of worsted weight yarn, and so it's thick and heavy. And then we have the pumpkin granny square blanket that is crochet, and I am using scrap yarn for this as well, or stash yarn, I should say. So it's the bright orange is from AC Moore, and the green is Red Heart Spring Green, and then I'm using a brown that is Red Heart Brown. That is just pumpkin granny squares. I just seam them up. And then I have my holly sweater that I started in December, and it got put on hold for other things. So we're going to finish holly. And yeah, so I have 7 carryovers, not including the giant playing card blanket, that I will hopefully finish in 2025. Hopefully. That's all I've got for you today. Now it's time to clean up this mess and figure out what I want to make for 2026. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.